Everyone, this is John Rincon, aka Side 2 of No Negate, and here we are with another preview for World Tournament, in this case the black and blue cards. This is the last two colors that we needed from World Tournament before we got to the Super Rares in 2 weeks. So let's just get right down to it. Don't want to spend too much time. The last videos have been a little bit long-winded, so I hope to be able to cut the time down on this one. So we're going to start with Oob Leader. Oob Leader on the front side, nothing special, typical generic attack draw, untap to awaken. On his backside, his ability is choose one card from your life, add it to your hand. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and return it to the owner's hand, and they get a 5k pump until on turn. This ability is not very good, in my opinion. It has decent final push potential because it's not a hard once per turn, so you can just keep adding cards to from your life to your hand. It guarantees that you're going to be at 1 life and have the maximum amount of cards you can have in your hand for your final little push. And he pumps himself up along the way, while also bouncing opponent battle cards, usually blockers, because nothing else would really matter for that ability. The problem is, in terms of final push ability, he's not great at it. It's just something that's there. And without it, the ability is really not good because 1 life just to bounce a battle card in a game where bouncing battle cards, bonus battle cards, is generally not good unless it's done very efficiently. Because remember, there's a lot of when this card is played effects, and there's no summoning to this game. So having that ability is generally not great. So yeah, it's not a good bounce, it's not the best pump, and it costs a life, which I think if you're going to have a ability that costs life when you're awakened, it needs to be very powerful. And this just doesn't cut it, no. So I think Oob is probably the worst leader shown from World Tournament. It's a shame because he's a very beloved character in the Dragon Ball mythos, especially to me, but it is what it is. Alright, so I'm not going to try to do the partner cards together because I feel like it's a little bit of a pain to talk about one and then talk about the other. I think you want to get to each one quickly. This one's a little bit tough because these two are 10 cards apart in the actual card list, so yeah, thanks Bandai. So we have Test Strength Son Goku and we have Test Strength Oob down here. Now they're both 3-drop 15Ks. Goku has Double Strike and Oob has Critical. Goku says that when you play this card in your leader's World Tournament, you may choose one Test Strength Oob from your hand and play it. If you do so, with that card in this card, gain +5 cancel at a turn. Oob states that if you play this card, if Goku is on board already, choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards with 20k or less power and put them at the bottom of their owner's decks. Now, where Red was all about, okay, how do we make these battle cards good on their own so they're not reliant on the partner mechanic? Goku and, well, Blue in general is more about, okay, how do we make it a lot easier to put these cards onto the board so that way they can get all their abilities off right away. In this sense, I think these two are a great success because having both of these hands is a very big swing turn on pretty much turn 3 on, so you'll be able to play Goku. Drop Oob. You got two 20k attackers, one with Double Strike, one with Critical, and then Oob's bottoming 2 cards from your opponent's field, which is very strong. You know, make sure that they're not setting up Overwhelm, and bottoming is generally very powerful in any game. And then Oob even states that, let me get to Oob right now. Oob states that he gets his ability as long as Goku's in play. So if the opponent doesn't answer the Goku that's already on board, Oob comes into play and keeps bottoming stuff. Yes, he does have a restriction, 20k or less power. However, that's generally the power range of a lot of cards in the current format. It doesn't go that far above it unless it's like overwhelm cards, which obviously won't be on the board to hit again. There are a couple cards that go above it, but otherwise he's hitting damn near anything in the game that's played right now, and that's really strong. If not for Goku's requirement of having a World Tournament leader, I think these two could have actually been splashed in like other decks as tech, because I think it's very powerful. I think it's sort of a more aggressive edge on Chain Attack Zeno. Maybe not as good because Chain Attack Zeno is a ridiculous pump combo, but still quite strong and very aggressively tilted. I think we could have seen a lot of play for that. As it is now, for World Tournament decks, I think it's going to be a fantastic addition, as long as you're into blue or you're playing Announce the Leader. So yeah, I like this card a lot. I like 2 cards a lot. Top of his game, Son Gohan, typical World Tournament super combo. Also, he's not at the top of his game. That's Super Saiyan. He's not Ultimate Form. This is Majin Buu Sokka. Definitely not the top of his game. Why are you lying, Bandai? Why are you lying? Okay, so we have Scuffle Time Son Goten, and we have Scuffle Time Mr. Buu. So Scuffle Time Son Goten, who looks completely like Yamcha in his adolescence, Activate main. Once per turn, choose one card from your life and add to your hand. If Boo is in play in your battle area, choose this card and up to one of your energy and switch them to active mode. And this card gains 10,000 power until end of turn. And Mr. Boo says that while he has barriers of 1-drop 5k, during your main, you can bottom him. You get Goten on board. You can choose one of your opponent's battle cards and bounce it. Now, in terms of partner duos, this is not the best. I think this is actually one of the, I don't want to say one of the worst because we've seen worse, but it's definitely on the lower end of power. Goten, it's nice to be able to untap energy and get himself awakened in the process, but other than that, he's not really doing anything special. It's a 20k swing. It's not a huge deal. As for Boo, like I just said, bouncing is not particularly good unless it's extremely efficient. Giving up Boo to bounce a card is not very efficient, and he has the requirement of needing Goten on board to do it. It's not very good. It should have been something like Activate Battle, which I think would have been insane and much more worth the restrictions. As it is now, not very good. I think it's just a hard pass for these two, which is a shame, but not everything could be winners. Okay. Awakening Talent Pan, 1-drop 5k. When it attacks, you may choose one card from your life, add to your hand, gets 10 hands on the turn. At the end of the turn, return this to its owner's hand. This marks the 4th card in the so-called, how do I want to put it? Maybe life cycle 1-drops or whatever you want to call it, the life attackers, compared to, unyielding power. The Trunks, the Goten, and the Saiyan Kappa. Let's think like that. I don't want to figure the full names. This one's for blue, so it's the first blue one. Yellow's still the one that's missing out. Now, where does the other 3 go for having an offensive keyword added for all this work? Pan instead has it so that way she bounces back to hand. Now, at first glance, she's definitely a step back from the other 3 because you can't really argue with having critical or double strike on a 1-drop. And Pan only is a single strike that you'd have to commit like a Champa or a Supreme Kai to get her double strike. On the other hand, though, she's definitely a lot more value-oriented, which makes sense because she's in blue, which is a value-oriented color. She swings for her 15k, she gets her life, and then you can bounce her back so the opponent can't get the sort of free crackback that those other 1-drops can sort of lead themselves to if you're not really on the ball. Especially now that Flute's going to be at 1 when this card is released. I think she'll actually be an addition for Red Bull aggro if that deck's still a thing, because with Flute at 1, it really needed like other attackers to really make it work. So to have something, and to have something in blue is pretty solid, pretty good way to help. I don't know how much it will really push that archetype into the future, but I think it's a solid addition, and she's just a good card in general. Blue did need a new 1-drop because they were kind of falling behind in the race after the first 2 sets where they were dominating the 1-drop wars. Now they just kind of have been falling behind. She's a great addition to that. I like the card. Next partner duo, we have Begrudging Respect Vegeta and Begrudging Respect Piccolo, aka the Christopher Saban brothers, because for the few people on planet Earth who don't know, English dub of, the Funimation dub of Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, whatever Dragon Ball property it is, Christopher Saban does both Vegeta and Piccolo's voices. If you didn't notice, now you notice, I guess. So, Vegeta is a barrier 4-drop 20k on its own, not very good. I mean, we have plenty of cards that are 4-drop 20k barrier double strikers on their own, so this is below that. When you play this card, if you're leading this World Tournament and you have Piccolo in play in your battle area, your opponent chooses 2 cards from their hand and places them on top of their deck in any order. I don't think this is very good, to be honest. I mean, if you want to hit 2 cards out of your opponent's hands, we have better cards to do that, though it's in red. And the worst part is the opponent gets to choose, and you need a World Tournament leader to make this happen. It's not the best card out there. I don't think Vegeta is very good. Now, the reason I'm talking about it a little bit separately is because Piccolo should look a little bit familiar. Now, if you have Vegeta on board, he's a blocker barrier for 2-drop 10k. That's nothing. I mean, 2-drop 10k barrier blocker. No one's going to really make much removal out of him anyway. So it's whatever. When you play this card, if you place a card in your energy area during this turn's charge phase and you have less energy than your opponent, choose up to one of your opponent's energy and place it in their drop area. This should sound familiar. Why? Because it's nearly the exact same card as Force Suggestion Mass Saiyan. Now, difference is here. It sends the energy to the drop instead of the warp, And it's only on his play rather than just whenever the hell you feel like it during your turn for Force Ejection Max Saiyan. Also, he's a 2-drop card compared to Max Saiyan's 3-drop by having a 1-drop overwhelm. For the Vegeta lock decks, I think this will be valuable tech as like a little bit extra redundancy for Max Saiyan, because the one weakness I've seen with a deck is that if the Max Saiyan just gets easily popped early, or in decks that just don't give a crap about dealing with it on cheap energy, the deck starts to fall behind because it tries to live on 2-3 energy while the opposing decks can get their full kit, which kind of sucks. So Piccolo having, a little bit extra redundancy to that effect, I think is great. I don't think you're running 4. It might be a little bit too much. I think 4 Max Saiyan and then 2-3 Piccolo is probably enough, but I definitely see them as being a tech card in those decks. Vegeta won't see play. I think this Piccolo will. Now we have Awkward Situation Trunks and Awkward Situation Otokosuki. So, I remember first reading these cards, I'm like, it's okay. I thought about it more and realizing none of these cards are actually really stupid. Now, Awkward Situation Trunks, 2-drop 15k, costs 2 blue. Once per turn, you can choose one Otokosuki in your battle area and bottom it. If you're good at World Tournament, you get to kill something. Now, in normal cases, that'd be but Otokosuki really makes it shine, because if you have Trunks in your battle area and Otokosuki is not, you can play this card from your hand without paying its energy cost. That's right, this thing's free. This thing is free. That is terrifying. If you have to go Trunks, play a Otokosuki, swing with them both, bottom a Otokosuki to kill something, if even not, you're just bottoming it, possibly play another one from hand and swing with that. It's honestly a little bit reminiscent of the current Lineage package, though nowhere near as busted because you don't have Bardock, you don't have Goten, it's nothing nearly as absurd, but it's sort of its little own spin on the strategy. I think for World Tournament decks, this is definitely going to be an auto-include, just because the ability to kill something for what is relatively cheap, because it needed a little bit of restriction considering the fact that it's a 2-drop kill anything, and the restriction's not that much. All you need is a Tokosuki, which you can play for free. That's absolutely insane. The Tokosuki's not fantastic on its own, but a free 15k, we have people playing free 5ks, free 10ks. People play free 15ks all day long. Do not sleep on this duo. Do not. I'm kind of thankful that this is relegated to World Tournament leaders, because if not, I'd be really terrified at what people would be able to do to break this combo in half. As it is now, I think don't sleep on them. I think there's potential there. I think there's a lot of strength that can come from that. Yeah, what more can I say? When you get to play a bunch of cards for free, it's not something you should sleep on. Okay, we have Wild Tiger the Imposing, 2-drop 15k blocker. Not much to say about this card. It won't see play, but the main thing to note is that the benchmark for these sort of vanilla keyword cards is rising over the sets. We used to have, I think, 10k versions of this. Now we have a 15k version. People might say, well, why wouldn't this see play? The main reason is, well, we have a 2-drop 20k blocker in yellow that we've had since Set 2, and that's all maybe about 5 minutes of play back during like Mecha Frieza, or even a little bit beforehand. Because, yes, it had the restriction that you couldn't attack with it, but in most cases you don't want to attack with your blocker unless you can untap it anyway. So the 20k blocker for 2 and much cheaper restrictions, since it only needed 1 yellow, once he play, I don't think Wild Tiger the Imposing goes he play regardless. But it is nice to note that the sort of benchmark is rising for this sort of effect. The last blue card to talk about, Shocking Latent Ability. If we get a card as Oob, it gains plus 10k power for the battle and draw 1 card. This is literally Unbreakable Son Goku, but it requires 1 blue instead of being 1 card of anything, and it requires Oob Leader. To be fair, I don't even think you'd play Unbreakable Son Goku and Oob to begin with. If you want to play that, I would hesitate to play this. Unless if Unbreakable would take off an Oob, then this card is good. You definitely don't want 8 Unbreakables in that deck, because it's definitely not an SS3, you're always going to have energy available type of deck. Card's kind of a disappointment. I think we could have done better. Overall for blue, I like a lot of the battle cards. There's a lot of battle card potential in the set. There's very few cards I would consider outright bad in here. The leader and the extra card are very disappointing. And now let's go to black. Announcer. Yep, the announcer. We are one step closer to Farmer with Shotgun, people, and that makes me ecstatic. Now, leaving the memes aside. Also, well, okay, no, let's get one more meme out of the way. It's just funny that announcer has proper power, 10k on the front side, 50k on the back, and Hercule does not? Are they trying to say something? Is announcer secretly the world's biggest, most strong martial artist compared to Hercule? Could he whip his ass? I don't know, but apparently that's what Bandai thinks. Anyway, memes aside. This is the next in the sort of lineage of archetype-specific, archetype-locked leaders, where you only can play a certain archetype in the deck. In this case, World Tournament, though also in this case, unlike, say, U7 Goku, you can play any type of extra cards that you want. You're only locked at battle cards when it comes to announcer. You're only locked at World Tournament battle cards. So his defense is a little bit better, though ironically enough, he has 2 negates from battle cards in the set anyway, so I guess you only want to use it for something like Sensu Beam, just to help out in the format a little bit more. And then for another reason, as you'll see a little bit later. Now, and also he has the typical, since he's archetype leader, that you can pay whatever cost you want for your World Tournament battle cards. It's going to be good. Especially good when you consider the fact that, unlike, say, the Universe cards from back in Tournament of Power, there's a lot more free-form nature to the World Tournament cards, just really working with each other, so it should be a lot easier to build some type of coherent strategy out of them compared to World Tournament, where it was like you still were kind of locked into a certain archetype regardless, so Zeno struggled a little bit. Now, his once per turn draw is not from attack, surprisingly enough, but from when you play a World Tournament battle card. Note, this does not say during your turn. You get to draw on either player's turn. Now, he does not have a bodyguard, like, say, Pan does, but he does have not one, but as we see, 2 different battle card negates, which he would also get draws off of. If we had a card that said negate an opponent's attack, draw 1 card, and then you have a 5k combo out for later, that would be a 4 of in nearly every deck in existence that could play it. So you can just see the kind of power that Announcer could have on his front side. He has a typical on tap to awaken. To now he gets older and gets that mustache, that sweet mustache. So typical. Unfortunately, he loses the play and draw and gets the typical attack and draw. I guess it's fine, but kind of disappointing. His ability is choose up to 2 of your battle cards World Tournament in a trait. Each gain 5k into duration in turn, and then they get the skill for duration in the game. So yeah, I only noticed the duration of the game part now, which I'm going to have to update my article a little bit. I went from really liking the backside of this card to really not liking it. This card is actually really... The ability is not good. It is not worth being negating the duration of the game. Now, I understand it, considering the fact that there's going to be another card preview that's basically this ability. But man, it really takes the wind out of his sails. You should have let him have the play World Tournament draw card ability if they're going to make this restricted. Still, I like the announcer. I like what he brings to the table. It's just, negating the skill for the duration of the game is a little bit much for what is essentially just a simple pump. Too much, Bandai. Too much. Announcer, Ever Curious, and 1-drop. Top 7 look. I would say typical archetype searcher, but unlike most recently, which have been look at top 3, this one says look at top 7, which is fantastic because it almost guarantees that you can hit something, which means you can play a little bit tighter of a package for World Tournament cards if you're going outside of announcer. And if you're in announcer, you can basically pick the litter of what you want. Top 3 was already decent. Top 7 is fantastic look. Hard to say much else. It's a good card. Announcer, play-by-play pro. This card is fantastic. So, again, it's another negate attack battle card, which is already great. Only World Tournament leader, not a big deal. So, everybody has their sort of negate if they want it, not just announcer. Also, again, announcer leader can draw off of this, which is fantastic. But the second ability. During your turn, when you play this card, if there are 2 or more World Tournament cards other than this card in your play, in your battle area, draw 2 cards. So when you don't even need him from the negate, he's doing something in which case he's drawing you 2 cards. He's Pot of Greed. For an effect that's really not hard to meet with a great amount of World Tournament cards, battle cards in this set have barrier. So if you're able to go even a modicum of amount of wide, he just drawing you a bunch of cards, which is absolutely fantastic. And, you know, if you could stack them. So on defense, he's great. On offense, he's fantastic. Probably not even probably. He's definitely the best Negate battle card that we have so far. Or even one of the best Negates we have, period, just because of the fact that it's good on offense and defense, whereas obviously most Negates are not good on offense. Card's great. I love it. If World Tournament decks take off, this is going to be a big reason why. And then the last preview card of the set, unless to the nice shiny super rares, World Tournament Arena. So it's a 0 cost. Don't get triggered. Don't worry. It's not that busted. It's a field card. There's a rest mode. If your leader's announcer, choose 2 of your battle cards for World Tournament. They gave 5k each to the duration of the turn. Now, this is sort of why I understand why they made an announcement for the duration of the game. I guess the worry was that, you know, continuously giving like 2 cards 10k buffs or be able to buff your whole board 5k might be a little bit enough for 0. This card's pretty solid for announcer. I mean, being able to buff in an archetype where there are a lot of multi-attackers based on how the partner duos work, it's pretty good. It's 0. And the fun thing with how field cards work is you play a field card, the old one falls off. You know, sort of like Yu-Gi-Oh!, sort of like other games. So what you can do is you play the World Tournament Arena, tap it, pump 5k, 5k. If you have another one, play that one, dump the old one, tap this one, plus 5k, plus 5k. So it's not as much of a dead draw as the other field cards may be that isn't Planet Vegeta. Still, it's not a 4 because it's not really getting that much done on its own. It's just a pump for an already established board. I think 2 to 3 is a good number for this, but for announcer, I think this is a great addition. Hard to go wrong with it. For the black cards, for the most part, I love it. I'm a little bit disappointed with the backside ability of announcer because I did not read it right earlier. To negate it for the duration they gave is just way too much restriction. I don't think that ability was really all that busted that it needed that restriction. I understand they were probably afraid of it stacking with World Tournament Arena, but I think it would have been fair for what announcer has to be doing. Other than that, I liked every single black card previewed. I definitely want to test with announcer once we find out our super rares, and there's nothing more I can say. I just love the cards. Today was a decent preview day. It's not as absurd as Red, but ultimately nothing I could really be sad about. I think that's all for today. Next week, I don't know what the heck we're going to be doing because there is no preview next week, so I'll figure something out. And then following week after that, we're going to be going to Super Rares. I hope you enjoy your time. If you like this video and hope to enjoy others, please leave a like. Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to my blog, No Negate. This video will be on that article. And I will see you next time. I am out.